my name is Linda, and we're here today at Essie's Rug Gallery to talk about hip shimmy techniques. In belly dancing, there are tons of different ways to move your hips, and one of the most fun categories of that is shaking, which is basically what we call a shimmy. I'm going to go over a couple of different types of shimmies, but that doesn't mean that these are the only things that you can do that are shimmies. I'm just going to use the two more common ones to kind of give you an idea. And if you want to learn more about belly dancing in general or how to do hip shimmies of other kinds, you can always visit my website, lindabellydance.com, for more information. To start out, you're going to make sure that both feet are firmly into the ground. You want to keep your heels on the ground throughout both of these movements, but it is a common mistake for people to want to pull their heels up. So just always take a look at your feet. Make sure that the feet are hip joint width apart. So meaning not the widest part of the bones of your hip or the flesh, but just inside of that, just a few inches apart usually. You're going to bend your knees a little bit so you're in kind of a sitting position, and you're going to use what we call a tuck in belly dancing. It's not from the glutes, you're going to work from the belly. You're going to pull the belly button in towards the spine. That's going to help protect your back. It also engages a lot more of those muscles that are going to give you a better workout. And then you're going to think of kind of zipping up the front a little bit. Most of us go around on a daily basis sort of like so. So what we do in belly dance to prepare the body is bend those knees, pull in on the belly, and zip it up so that we're in a straight up and down position with the hips. The upper body stays nice and tall and the arms go out to the side. But if your arms start getting tired, they can either frame your hip shimmy or you can take them and rest them up on your head. But you do want to try to make sure, especially when you're doing a beautiful shimmy, that your arms don't look like chicken wings or W's or my very favorite T-Rex arms. Yeah, you want to make sure you've got a nice big beautiful arm span with your hip shimmy. You can have somebody that doesn't know a whole lot about belly dancing, but if their arms look really nice and they're confident with their hip shimmies, they look like $1,000,000. So here we go, let's get into the movements. So you're going to start with the feet just a few inches apart. Okay, they're just underneath the hip joints, not at the widest part of your hips, whether that's from bones or flesh. You want to keep them inside of that line a little bit, nice and under your center without touching. We're going to start straightening the knees just a little bit, but I'm not going to straighten the leg all the way. I'm just going to straighten it just a little bit, like halfway, maybe 3/4 of the way, and then I'm going to rebend it and let the other knee push back. When you've got those knees going forward and back, it's going to gently rock the hips up and down. What you want here is a seesaw effect, one up, one down, like this, not so much a swinging effect side to side. So try to work with just an up and down motion. It just means that your balance is centered and you're not pushing your weight out from one side to the other. Starting with your knees bent enables your hips to do these movements without bothering the upper body, so you're going to be very nice and isolated. You're pulled in on the belly just enough to keep your hips in their straight up and down position, but you don't want to clench anywhere on your body. In fact, the main thing about a basic hip shimmy is just to relax. Okay, so here we go. Knees bent, hips tucked in just a little bit, arms out nice and beautiful. You work those knees. Just allow the hips to do their rocking motion, and we're going to make them a little bit smaller and then a little bit smaller, so it's a really, really small motion. And then we're going to start speeding it up. Think gentle, think relax. You're going to let your backside relax, the back of your thighs relax, the inner thighs relax. Let your belly relax a little bit. Don't clench in the sides. You should be able to take deep, relaxing breaths with your hip shimmies. And still keep it going. If you try to tensen up, you're going to do one of two things. Either your shimmy is going to stop on you and all of a sudden you've got one straight leg and it doesn't want to bend, or you might still get those hips going, but the upper body is also shaking. The goal here is just the hips shaking, okay? Now, in case you were wondering, if you're trying this at home, yes, everything is supposed to be jiggling. And that's part of the fun of belly dancing, okay? We don't feel inhibited by the fact that we have a little bit of extra body fat here and there. Okay, so I want you to enjoy the motion that you get. Your backside's going to be going all over the place. Your thighs are going to have this kind of rotating jiggle going on. And if your belly fat is jiggling, you're doing great. If your hip fat is shaking, you're doing great. You just don't want the bones in the upper body to be the things that are shaking, at least not as much as the hips are. So you maintain that shimmy for as long as you can. And when you feel like you're about to lose control of it, then you go ahead and slow it back down. and then you can start speeding it back up again later. That's really the best way to practice rather than stopping and having to restart over and over again. It's going to build control in your hip shimmies. Now this is the most basic type of hip shimmy. We use it in Egyptian style dance, and Lebanese dance, and Turkish style dancing, and all over the world.